Yesterday, we brought you what? We brought you the story of how new genetically altered fruits and vegetables and even animals could soon be entering the marketplace. But now ask yourself something. Should we be changing a plant or animal's genetics? And if so, to what end? What about restrictions? Some? None? Then there's the question of whether we are or should play God, right? Joining us now is Paul Thompson. He is a professor of agriculture and ethics at Michigan State University. So he's, man, talk about the perfect person to have on this segment. Let's start with you explaining for us as easily as you can for our viewers who are not scientists what this gene editing thing really is. What are we actually doing when we say gene editing?
Well, we've been modifying the genetics of plants and animals in some sense for centuries, but fairly actively through breeding programs for many decades. And over the last 30 years, we've developed techniques that allow us to do that with more precision, targeting specific traits that are based in the genes. And gene editing is the latest trend in some of that work that's been going on. It allows us to make even more precise changes that target specific spots in the genes. So in some respects, it's a continuation of what we've been doing, but with more specificity.
Is there a limit to what we should do when it comes to this particular field? I, as a layman, would think, oh, this sounds a little mysterious, almost scary, but you, as a scientist, would say what?
Well, I certainly think that there are reasons to be concerned about the safety, and I think that there have been quite a few safeguards that have been put in place that are going to focus on the safety of actually consuming these products. I think one of the issues that's particularly significant when we start to talk about animals is that unlike genetic engineering of a corn plant or a soybean, the animals have feelings, and so we have some additional ethical concerns that have to do with the way that a genetic modification affects the way that an animal feels, the way that they fare or do in the world.
What is the worst case scenario? What is the doomsday scenario, if there is one, with our continuing this approach?
Well, I'm not sure that there's a doomsday scenario. You know, there are cases, even with just ordinary plant breeding, where people have failed to pick something up, and you know, you wind up with cases of toxicities getting into the food system. The ordinary potato is toxic in the green parts of the plants, and even with just ordinary breeding, you can transfer some of that toxicity to the plant. So the key there is having some of the safeguards in place. I don't actually think that genetic modification itself is tied to you know, sort of end of the world type scenarios. But we could do things that we probably shouldn't do, and probably would alter certainly our sense of our place in the world and with respect to some of the plants and animals that we eat.
So it sounds like you're a sensible person who's taking a rational approach to this. I almost hear you saying this is generally a good thing that can help us as a society, as consumers. However, we have to keep an eye on what we're doing, right?
I think that's right, yes.
And by keeping an eye on what we're doing, is it really about making sure we have what? Regulations and rules as to exactly what we do to the animal or vis-a-vis plant?
Well, I think that's the first step. There are certainly things that we might do. For example, with respect to some of the work that's been proposed with animals, we might actually use gene editing tools to reverse some of the changes that have been made in the course of modifying animals so that they're more productive or they're easier for farmers to handle. Some of those changes have made food less expensive, but they have come at some cost to the animals. And so if we could use gene editing tools, we might actually be able to improve the welfare of some of the animals that are used in food.
Yeah, Paul Thompson, Professor of Agriculture and Ethics at Michigan State University. We thank you, sir, for your time, and go Spartans.
Thanks.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.